Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing super well and having a wonderful week. In this video, I thought I'd talk about something quite funny, and that is Instagram DMs for artists. So the sort of weird things that some artists get in their DMs, and I'm pretty sure that most artists will experience this at some point on Instagram. Also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would be most grateful. I do lots of fun art things on here. And let us begin this video. The most weird one that I get, and it's probably the most common, is people who basically ask for free art. Like, draw them for free, paint them for free, and go to a lot of trouble for them for free, and then they don't offer anything in return. Like, I don't mind collaborating with someone, and I'm perfectly happy to paint someone for free and draw them for free, but as long as they promote me in exchange, because that's a fair exchange. So if I was to do that for them, and having done that for them, they would then tag me on their Instagram, and it's like a mutual thing. This one guy stands out in particular, but I have had loads like this. He sent me a DM and he was like, you know, I really like your art. Can you draw my profile picture? So it's sort of a bit like, okay, like that's quite a forward thing to say, but there was no like, can you draw my profile picture and then I will tag you on my Instagram. So I thought, well, maybe I'll have to suggest that to him. So I went on his profile and he had quite a lot of followers. So it probably gave him confidence to sort of go around asking people. And I figure he must have asked a lot of artists. And his pictures are very like sort of posy, if you like. So, you know, like lots of him doing like lots of, I remember his profile picture was like him sort of with his hand in his hair, like staring really intensely into the camera. And these types of profiles always really, really make me laugh. They're sort of like the Instagram models, basically, the male models anyway. So I said to him, I'm not really somebody who draws, because I kind of wondered whether he'd actually looked at my profile or whether he just saw that I was an artist and just thought, I'm going to contact you anyway, regardless of what art you do. Because on my Instagram, it's basically all oil paintings. There's literally, I think there's like one drawing and it's just a preliminary sketch of a painting. So I thought it's kind of odd that he's asked me to draw him, because he would, I would assume that he would look at my profile and think this person is a painter. So either he'd want a painting or like nothing, but maybe he didn't distinguish between the two. So I said, look, I'm really more of a painter. So if I was to do something for you, it would be a painting. And also, could you tag me once I've done this, you know, profile picture? Could you tag me so that I get some recognition from it? This guy basically totally disregarded that mention of him tagging me or promoting me on his account or anything like that. So clearly he wasn't planning to do any of that stuff. So he just kept sending me loads of messages like, when can you draw me by? I need it really soon, and can you hurry up, and all this stuff. And it was quite funny because it was like, well, I haven't even said yes, and also it's quite a big ask to ask someone to draw you and then just like completely demand it and then not, you know, offer anything, as I've said before. So I just sent him a message and I was like, well, I'm more of a painter. So I just repeated myself again. I was just like, I'm really more of a painter. And so I thought I'd just lay it on the line as to what my style was. And I said, well, I can paint you, but in a sort of more Baroque style. Because that's my type of style. If I paint people, I will paint them in a sort of surreal way or a sort of Baroque way, possibly. And I think that at that point he didn't know what I was talking about. He probably thought this person is like, either I don't understand what she's saying or she's really pretentious. It is quite pretentious actually. And he kind of disregarded this and just kept going like, when can you do this drawing by? Can you do it for me? And so I just said, well, no, because I'm more of a painter as opposed to somebody who draws. And also I knew that if I had drawn him, it would have taken me a long time because I would have wanted to make it really good. And then if there's nothing in it for me, like, it just seemed pointless, at least from my perspective. Quite hard. I find it quite hard to stand up for myself sometimes, but I got to the point where I was like, well, I've got to draw the line somewhere. So I just said, look, I can't do it. But thank you for contacting me. And if you ever want a painting, then let me know if you want to tag me. Like I said it for like the 100th time. And so he was like, oh, don't worry about it. And it kind of felt like we left it on good terms. And so I didn't feel so bad afterwards, even though it was, I don't know why I should have felt bad. Like, this person was asking for free stuff and not giving me anything. But for some reason, I just felt really terrible. Like, not really terrible. I felt a bit guilty about it. And then afterwards, like a few days later, I thought we like ended it on good terms and things. And then I was using one of those follow unfollow apps because I really wanted to just check and see who was following me. And I noticed that he had actually unfollowed me. And so I thought, how rude. Like, I wasted all that time thinking about it and, you know, giving you all the options about types of paintings, and it just ended up in the kind of rude unfollowing, but to be expected. The second type of weird Instagram DM I've received has been things like, you have won an art competition, or your art has been selected for a gallery, an online gallery. And of course there are a lot of online galleries running now and in the past, and many of them are very prestigious, and to get into them is really difficult, and once you do, your art is really promoted all over the world. So you do have those, but then you also have the online galleries that aren't really prestigious. In fact, they're more just trying to scam people into giving them money. And I remember there was this one ages ago where they sent me a message and they were like, you've won, your art is so amazing, you've won an entry into this online gallery. And first of all, I feel like I was quite excited. Like, I know it's the wrong reaction, but I was kind of like, wow, I didn't even have to do anything and I've won a competition. And then sort of the warning goes off in the back of my mind, like, hang on, I didn't have to do anything and I won a competition. And so I went into having a conversation with this person, and I think it was a really nice lady, or rather she seemed really nice, and she said things like, oh, you know, your art is amazing and you've been selected to be part of this online magazine. I thought, oh, this sounds so cool, this looks so exciting. At last, after all these years of struggling, I have finally won something that I didn't even enter. And so obviously I was a little bit skeptical at this point, but because there was someone actually replying to me, I thought maybe this isn't just like, you know, a mass spam thing. This could be genuine. So I googled them, and they seemed to have a proper website. It seemed all really legitimate. And so this lady then said, well, you have to just pay. And this is always where the alarm bell should go off anyway. If you're an artist or any creative person, if there's a bit where you have to pay, in sort of when you have display your work in galleries in real life, not online, sometimes you do have to pay like a hanging fee, or like an admin fee. So I wasn't like 100% I'm out of here type thing. I thought, well, let's just see exactly how much you have to pay and so forth. And so she said it was very little. It was like $5 or $10. So I thought to myself, well, even if this is a scam, I wouldn't really end up losing like a ton of money. It's just a little bit of money I might lose. So I kind of weighed out the options. But luckily, and there were loads of people who'd made videos on how this was a scam and it was really bad and they were just taking people's money and it wasn't a proper online magazine. And this fund it was supposed to be going to like some special art fund or something, was not even real, which I thought was terrible. So anyway, I actually think that this, like I did check up, I just didn't reply to any more of these messages. I thought, well, if this is a scam, there's absolutely no point. And after this, like I checked, I think a couple of months later to see if this online magazine was still in operation, and I think it's gone. But just be wary, like if people try and contact you and say like you've won this or that and you haven't entered, I mean, I know it's obvious, but at the same time, I guess they seemed so genuine, let's put it that way. Another site where actually you have to really be wary of scammers is Deviantart. My DMs on Deviantart are even more wild than the ones on Instagram. Like the amount of scammers on Deviantart is just phenomenal. Just on the DMs, like everywhere else, it doesn't seem to be dodgy or anything, but it's a really good platform and I really like the art on there. But I've had so many weird DMs on Deviantart. Even just a few days ago, I had someone saying that I'd won an art competition on there. And although that should seem obvious because of my experience with receiving this type of message, the message actually said it was from the Deviantart team, and they like listed all these names, and you know, it was a really well constructed message. I think some people may have fallen for it, but and then if you click the links, I reckon, because I had some links underneath, there were probably like viruses or something. So I was like, okay, this does seem dodgy. I did go on the profile of that person and they'd been deactivated. So obviously Deviantart does crack down on these types of people, but it probably does take a little while for them to do so, and in that time they may have scammed a few people, so just be wary. Another weird Instagram DM I've had is to do with sponsorships. So I think a lot of people assume that if you are a small or large YouTube channel or Instagram account, you have like tons of sponsorships and loads of brands are like banging down your door to give you all their stuff, and you can promote them all and, you know, get paid loads. It really isn't the case, sadly, probably because there's just so many platforms, there's so many accounts. So brands tend to hone in on ones that have the most subscribers or a heck of a lot of subscribers. And so if you're small, you can get the odd sponsorship, but it tends to be, especially when you're like my level of a few thousand followers, it tends to be more of a scam than a sponsorship. So once again, I had someone contacting me, oh, I love your account, you know, I think that should be like the opening warning line. I love your Instagram account. However, they didn't mention any of my art or anything specifically, so I was kind of a bit like, is this yet another mass email? And so they, mass DM. And so they sent me a DM and they said something like, we would love you to promote our brand. This was a brand that was kind of like more a fashion brand, but they were not like women's fashion. It was more like hiking stuff and like rucksacks and sportswear, but really nice. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh gosh, this stuff is amazing. I would be perfectly happy to wear this type of thing, even though it had nothing to do with my account, which is completely art related. So it was kind of a bit like, this could be one of those brands that reaches out to people who have a certain number of followers, regardless of what genre they're in. So I thought, okay, I kind of read a bit further, and it said, if you sell some of our merch, then you get a commission. So I kind of like, well, that's great and everything, but I have my own merch. Like, I'm an artist and I sell my own stuff. This is my merch, by the way, but I have many other things. And so when I sell that, I get commissions. So it's kind of a bit like, well, in what way is your merch, you're still going to keep the majority of the money? And the percentage of the merch, I can't stop saying merch, the percentages of the merch that you would receive was really tiny. So I thought, okay, it's not that big a deal to take lots of pictures of like you hanging around with some snazzy rucksack or like some really cool shoes. So I suppose, but then I thought to myself, I don't really want to turn my account into a like account that is totally unrelated. Like if it was something like some art materials, for example, that would be relevant to my account. But if it would be like a random rucksack, it might feel a little bit, you know, like I was trying to spam people into buying certain things. But anyway, it was really good quality stuff. So I looked more into it, and the more I read, the more skeptical I became, because all the stuff was so expensive. The amount of money that you'd have to, and then you had to buy it yourself. Like that was that was a deal breaker for me. I thought, if you're gonna send me things and then I get a commission, like wearing that stuff if I sell it, then fair enough. Like that's basically what I was supposed to do, was buy all of their stuff, which was super expensive, and advertise it on my Instagram, and then only keep a tiny proportion of the sales. I mean, just the whole thing was just complete nonsense. I thought to myself, does anyone really genuinely fall for this? Because this is just a joke. The people who they're probably their main clients are just Instagrammers buying their stuff. The whole thing actually made me lose faith a little bit in society. I thought it's a little bit unfair because they're trying to profit off people who are well-meaning on Instagram, who are creators, and they're just, you know, charging massive prices for amazing stuff, but it looks kind of like you could buy it in, I don't know, some hiking shop. So that goes for my video on weird art DMs. I just want to add a little joke at the end, a little like caveat of probably one of the worst sort of chat up lines I've received on Instagram through my DMs. Now I have to say this is someone who probably sent the same thing to hundreds of women on Instagram, and it's probably still going, but I just thought it was really, really funny. It stands out of the many that I do get, and they're only mass ones. It's not only honing on me specifically. So many women get these types of things, and one of the funniest ones was this guy who sent me a message who was like, "Hey baby, all this stuff, how you doing?" And so I looked on his Instagram just out of curiosity, and the funniest thing was he didn't have a profile picture, so I have no clue what he looks like, but he had loads and loads of pictures of really expensive cars, but it wasn't like cars in a showroom or cars that he'd taken off the internet, like really glamorous shots. They were just cars that he'd like taken pictures of when he was out and about, like on a daily walk or something, and they were not his cars, they were just random people's really expensive cars. And I just thought to myself, it was absolutely hilarious, because he'd obviously come to the conclusion that women are not interested in men for their personality or looks, but merely for the cars that they can sight on a daily basis. And he'd just gone for that singular objective, so I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So big shout out to him, whoever he was, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you made it to this far, and I challenge everyone to make this video about the weirdest, craziest DMs they've got on Instagram. And this is particularly art sort of related, but I have had some other really funny ones, so I may make a video about that some other time. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Take care, guys.